morning. This is Environmental Intelligence, episode 47 for June 19th, 2026, your environmental intelligence briefing, wrapping up the week with the environmental developments you need to know heading into the weekend. BC Minister of Environment and Parks approves Red Chris mine shift from open pit to block cave mining via Environmental Assessment Certificate Amendment. The sole provincial regulatory action today is the Red Chris Porphyry copper gold mine amendment in British Columbia. A second BC item addresses fish habitat protection funding at Inga Lake. Practitioners working on mine permits or aquatic habitat projects in BC should review both releases for compliance implications this week. If you only know one thing today for your compliance calendar, British Columbia has approved an Environmental Assessment Certificate Amendment for the Red Chris mine block cave transition. Mine operators and consultants handling BC EMA environmental assessment certificates need to confirm whether current permits reference open pit limits that now require updating. Tamara Davidson, Minister of Environment and Parks, approved an amendment to the Red Chris Porphyry copper gold mine environmental assessment certificate, authorizing the transition from open pit mining to underground block caving. The change replaces surface extraction methods with underground techniques at the existing permitted site. This alters the physical footprint and potential contaminant release pathways compared with the original open pit design. Consultants managing similar porphyry copper gold projects under BC EMA certificates should assess whether analogous amendments are feasible or required for ongoing operations. No implementation timeline or additional monitoring conditions are stated in the announcement. The Minister of Environment and Parks approved an amendment to the Red Chris Porphyry copper gold mine environmental assessment certificate, authorizing the shift from open pit to block cave underground mining. The change modifies the approved extraction method under the existing certificate. Mine operators must verify that operational plans and monitoring programs align with the amended certificate conditions. The BC Ministry of Water, Land, and Resource Stewardship released details on provincial funding directed at Inga Lake. Funding supports fish habitat protection at the site. Public access maintenance forms part of the supported activities. Conservation infrastructure at Inga Lake receives attention through the allocation. The work addresses ongoing habitat and access obligations under provincial water and land stewardship programs. Consultants involved in fisheries habitat or access planning in northern BC should note the infrastructure focus. The announcement appears under the heading Keeping Inga Lake Accessible for Public Anglers. There's a nuance here worth understanding when a client submits a request to amend an existing EMA certificate for a porphyry deposit, citing improved geotechnical stability and reduced surface disturbance from shifting to block cave methods. The original certificate and supporting documents were prepared under open pit assumptions, so the hydrogeological model, seepage estimates, and waste rock characterization no longer match the proposed extraction sequence. BCCRCR Protocol 1 requires that any material change in mining method triggers re-evaluation of contaminant transport pathways and exposure scenarios before the amendment can be considered complete. Experienced assessors recognize that block cave operations often create different fracture networks and dewatering demands than open pits, which can change groundwater flow directions and metal leaching rates even when total tonnage remains similar. The most common mistake is treating the amendment as a simple footprint reduction and reusing the original risk assessment without updating the source term and receptor pathway analysis. The fix is to rerun the fate and transport model with block cave specific parameters before submitting the amendment package. If you're working on mine certificate amendments in British Columbia, review the Red Chris Amendment Notice for language that may set precedent for other BC mine certificate changes. Confirm whether any current client projects reference open pit limits that could now be revisited. Brief BC mine clients on the need to update hydrogeological models when extraction methods change. No specific upcoming federal or provincial consultation deadlines were identified in today's sources. Monitor BC Gov News releases for further EMA certificate amendments affecting mining operations. Tomorrow, watch for any follow-up announcements on additional BC mining certificate amendments. That covers today's environmental intelligence. If you found this useful, share it with a colleague who needs to stay current. We'll be back with the next briefing. And before you go, this show is part of the NARA Network, a family of daily podcasts covering tech, science, markets, and more. If you enjoyed today's episode, give SpaceX Daily a listen, the daily companion for following SpaceX as a public company, from Starship to the stock ticker. You can explore the whole lineup at neuranetwork.com. This episode used AI voice synthesis of my voice. Editorial selection and analysis are my own.